What's going on, guys? It's me, Shamar Liberty, back on the YouTube channel. How y'all doing? It's good to see you. And we're here to talk about one of my favorite brands that I've had for a long time. A brand that is constantly pushing forward for the next generation, and that brand is Apple. Now, I know you guys seen, it's not particularly new. They just dropped, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, talking about Apple iOS 18, but they also had other lines of things that they were talking about. But the main focus of the WWDC that just dropped in June was talking about iOS 18. Now, this was earlier in June. Apple had announced pretty much like the new upgrades are coming for all systems. I'm not going to touch on all of them, including the new Mac OS, the Sequoia. I'm not going to talk about the iPad update that's coming in this fall, but I particularly wanted to focus on iOS 18, mainly because we, as Apple users, including myself, I think the biggest tech piece that I use from Apple is my phone. Not only is it an Apple product, which I don't know if you guys can tell, but I do love Apple, but it's also something that we use on a everyday basis. Anywhere from phone calls to text messages to Google Maps or Apple Maps when you're driving, to even social media runs when you're just scrolling on TikTok or Instagram and you're just having a good time for about an hour or two. iOS 18 was mainly focused on customization to its fullest, which is something I think Apple should have been on for a long time. One strife I have against Apple is the fact that its competitors like Samsung or Google is always at the forefront of, new customizing upgrades or just being fully customizable to the user. And Apple has always been very strict on, kind of being repetitive, staying the same, things look the same. And while things may change, a little bit, or they might tweak certain things to make it, more colorful, I think iOS 18 was the big jump into the fully customizable route. So that includes, widgets, being able to be moved around on your home screen, and you can place it anywhere and not just a certain location, or changing the icons to a dark label, which is huge. It may not be huge for a lot of people, especially, Android users who have had this feature for years now. But for Apple users, we've always had the notion of even having the new phone, your phone still looks the same as the next person. So now that you have the feature to, kind of express yourself and have your own personality, just changing the colors on the icons, I think is a huge step for Apple. I like the fact that Apple has opened up the route for every user to pretty much, even though you may have the same product, you may have the same specs, it's completely different because it's your iPhone, so it looks entirely up to you. Another huge thing that Apple had dropped, and Apple has been for the past few years, leaning towards privacy more. But a huge thing was locking apps. Similar in photos where you can lock certain albums, Apple has, now turned on the feature of locking apps. So if you don't want somebody, going through your Instagram, you can lock Instagram to where it's just Face ID, and they need your face to unlock Instagram. They can lock your text messages if you want to. Now, while this may, cause some issues in certain relationships, but regardless, I just love how Apple is not only focusing on fully customizing, certain things, but it brings you the freedom of putting your phone away towards somewhere and not worrying about somebody going through it, or, just being fully customizable to where everything looks the way that you want it and not how Apple settings has it. Now, I'm not sure that you guys can tell in previous videos, you've guys seen a lot of Apple products that I have, but I carry an iPhone. This is an iPhone 13. I'm currently filming right now on a MacBook Pro 2017. My spouse also has the latest MacBook Pro. It's a little bit heavier, but this is the 2022, I think M2 MacBook Pro. I also have a MacBook Air for work. I have a tablet, that's on the side of me. I use it for, watching movies, or even just doing some work if I'm editing, like on CapCut, if I'm editing for TikTok. I also have an Apple Watch, but that's just to name a few Apple products that I do have. And I've also had Apple products in the past that, obviously I've upgraded more so too. But one thing I do wanted to touch on in this video as well is Apple's ecosystem. To me, is one of the reasons why I don't think I'll ever leave Apple fully. Even if I leave, my phone and go to an Android like a Samsung or a Google, to me, Apple's ecosystem has always been the forefront of technology. Just the fact that I can have multiple devices and, you know, even if I leave one behind, say for example, I leave my iPad behind, my phone will alert me like, hey, your iPad was last seen here, it's last open here, you forgot it. You probably want to turn back if you didn't mean to forget it. Or even the watch, my watch connects to my phone connects to my headphones. Just that cohesiveness of all my products being able to detect one another, I think is huge for Apple. Apple has always been, they may not be the only company that has that. I'm pretty sure other companies have advanced in that department as well. But to me, Apple has always been the best, just because the more products you have of theirs, the more cohesive it is, to where even if you're using one, the other one you can still control. And I believe in one of the updates, I don't know if it was the Mac OS. I'm pretty sure it's the Mac OS where you can control your phone from your laptop, which I think is another huge step in that Apple ecosystem. So that you're able to control any product that you have from Apple if you have multiple, from any device. And I think that is so cool. I think Apple has always been the best and the winner in that department. And I hope that other companies, you know, can catch up to that as well. I'm not sure, because I don't want to, you know, preach and say that, you know, Samsung or Google is not doing that, because they probably are. But to me, when I think about, you know, an ecosystem in technology, I think Apple is the forefront in that department. But with all that being said, you know, Apple does have its cons, especially with this WWDC update, on, you know, iPads, phones, just being fully customizable. That's something that other products has been had for years now. And the fact that Apple is just now coming to it, while it is great to have, it's something that I'm pretty sure Apple users wish they had 3-4 years ago. And it's, you know, was kind of the year where we were expecting Apple to take like a bigger step. Now what Apple Intelligence, I'm pretty sure that's going to be another video that I'm going to do that goes more into depth on that. But, you know, Apple is making some big steps, but in terms of these updates, it's great that we have more customization, but we were kind of expecting that a few years ago. So this update was more expecting for, you know, bigger and better. But that's not to say Apple is not big and it's not better. In my humble opinion, I think the new MacBook Pros, starting from the M1 all the way up to the M3, and I'm pretty sure the M4 chip MacBook Pros are coming soon. But those laptops to me are top tier. I think it's super, super dope that, you know, the MacBook Pro that I have, I can tell a major difference from the one that my spouse has currently. You know, just performance wise, especially for video editors, I think that's the number one thing that we were wanting in MacBook Pros, especially with the overheating, the batteries being too small for the kind of power that we were looking for, especially now in 4K and 8K footage. Even getting an M1 MacBook Pro right now, which came out in 2021, I believe, even in 2024, that's still a premier laptop. And while Apple has always, you know, been more on the expensive side, in my opinion, buying those MacBook Pros is so worth it. I'm still using a MacBook Pro 2017. It's now 2024. We're heading into 2025 in about, you know, 6 months time. And this MacBook is still working just fine. I edit these videos today just fine. So to me, I think outside of the ecosystem, MacBooks and, you know, some of the Apple products is long lasting. And that's something that, you know, especially in the tech world, that's something that we value the most. While I do think Apple still has some catching up to do, especially in the customization route, now that they finally opened up to it, which is great, but, you know, we still have a long way to go. But to me, Apple is still at the top of his game. I'm still a supporter. You know, I will still be buying Apple products. I'm hoping to buy a new MacBook soon, just to, you know, get better quality and faster performance and even editing at a better rate. But I shout out to Apple, you know. But if you're interested in any of these products, if you're interested in iOS 18, I'm also part of the Apple beta program, which you guys can sign up for. So you guys can test out iOS 18. You guys can test out macOS Sequoia. You can test out the new Watch OS 11. And you can also check out the iPad update that I think they're dropping as well. It's coming soon, but then the official drop comes out in the fall. But if you guys want to test it out before, you also can sign up for that beta program so that you can not only test out, you know, the 18 or the newest updates now, but you can also let Apple know of its feedback and if there's any bugs or any improvements that they need to do, so that when it comes in the fall, they're already ready to go. So I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to join that Apple beta program to try out iOS 18 and all the updates early this summer. Other than that, guys, try out Apple if you haven't. If you don't have any Apple products, I suggest you try them. You just might like them. With all that being said, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it or you got this far, make sure to subscribe, leave a like. It is appreciated on this channel so much. But until then, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.